Many spend their days passively searching for something interesting to do. Others dig in and find it. While nothing is certain, anything is possible. And the anticipation leads you into action. Because it's here that adventures begin. Stories are unearthed. Secrets are revealed. Fortunes are found. Mysteries are solved. And the past is brought to life. Nothing valued is ever lost. It's simply waiting to be discovered. So here's the question. What are you looking for?
I'm Dave D, and you're watching XP Team USA.
It's Thursday, it's 8 o'clock, and it's the Big Detecting Show. Happy New Year! Happy New Year, Adrian.
New Year. Not
New
happy
Year.
one.
Okay, New Year. New
Yeah.
Year. Nah, it's not even a fresh start, is it? It's all the same. Are you
How
well?
are you, Dave?
My eyes are square and my brain hurts. Let's put it this way. This since the last show, the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine have published 37 articles, and I've got scheduled 86 articles. So I've got brain hurt. How's yourself?
Yeah, good. Just can't go out, can we? So
You look tired.
I feel a bit buggy, not COVID-y, but just feel. I think it's because we're all sitting in. I need to go out into a field and turn a machine on and dig holes.
Do your garden again. You had miraculous discoveries last time.
Funny you should say that. I am actually going out this weekend, pack lunch, flask, and I am going to do my garden again because I've got some different machines than I had last time. So maybe I might find something different. But it's just you can damage the lawn this time of year as opposed to like spring lockdown. It was a bit awkward because I had a lot of brown marks in my lawn from where it had died, where I'd been digging. But yeah, I'm gonna do the garden this weekend. Full the gear on.
Take 6 inches off and then scour the rest.
Yeah,
Mrs. Gaylor will be happy for you to do that, I'm sure. Anyway, good evening in the chat room. We haven't done this for a few weeks, so I'll run through quickly. Metal Detecting War Relics, Nick West, Rick Hill, Scott Holden from Detector Network, Darren Booth, History Unearthed. Look at me, I'm learning all these people's names now. Nicola Roberts, John Clayton, Pete Terrell from LP, Tony Kaywood, TC Detects, Gordon Williams, Stephen Pettican, Graham Dempsey from the Composite Pencil Company. Didn't even have to look at anything to remind myself of that one. Di Johnston, Philip Wills, Dave Moran, Cy Weber, Scotty B, Space Pants, Graham Laraway, Dominic Tomschick, got him down to a T now, Joanne Whitehouse, Stan's Lad, Val Shearer, and many, William Hargreaves, and many, many more. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Our guests this evening will be with us momentarily are Carolyn and Mike from Calico. I've got the names written down, but she put a different name on the screen to what I've got written down, so I'm not going to say it. Anyway, listen, I've got a few parish notices. We've got no news per se. I will share the screen momentarily as well. But parish notice-wise, in the first, Mr. Gaylor, there's been an article published in I presume, the Telegraph today, which is basically a follow-up, or not so much a follow-up, an abridged version of the article that appeared in last month's British Archaeology. And the initial paragraph says, metal detecting rallies are causing irreversible damage to archaeology as growing numbers of hobbyists are lured to gatherings by the prospect of easy pickings without direct seeking permission from landowners. A lot wrong with that first paragraph in particular. It goes on. You'll be able to find it. It's on several, I think it's actually on the Big Detecting Show Facebook group as well, but you'll be able to find that to have a look at yourself and probably agree with what I'm saying. I'm hoping to have a response from certain people in the coming days regarding that, which I will publish via the Archaeology Metal Detecting magazine and the Big Detecting Show. Following which, I would like to give big ups and kudos to the Angling Trust, an organisation who has certainly helped their members considerably. They have today announced that fishing is allowed, according to the DCMS. It is allowed as exercise so long as participants adhere to the rules on staying local, gathering limits, social distancing, and limiting the time spent outdoor. It's also been confirmed, that was the DCMS sports team. It's also been confirmed by DEFRA. Cabinet Office have now officially confirmed that angling and fishing, including sea fishing off private boats and water sports, can be considered exercise and are hence permitted. Now, much like there's a lot more again to that. If you go onto the Angling Trust Facebook page, you'll be able to read that. But kudos to Jamie Cook, the CEO of the Angling Trust, for being able to get everything moving for anglers ASAP. And it begs the question from me, why isn't that the case for metal detectorists? There's a lot of hobbyists in the country, personally, and I know there's a lot of metal detectorists who are also anglers. Personally, I would say sitting in a spot watching the water is not exercise, whereas walking miles and miles over fields is exercise.
I think to hear that the government has recognised fishing as exercise is quite worrying, really. And yet metal detecting hasn't been portrayed as exercise. Fishing, you've got to buy tackle, bait, potentially, unless you're spinning or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what you're on about now.
No, but I used to fish. But metal detecting, batteries or recharging your batteries and a spade. I think this needs to be pushed further.
It certainly does, and it's not. As far as I'm concerned, it's not. Or if it is, there is no transparency as to what's occurring. As you know, last time this all went by, Adrian, I contacted the DCMS myself and did get a response from them on the Sports Alliance. The Sports Alliance, is the DCMS. The DCD Act, the other one. I didn't get really a response off them apart from a short paragraph, but the DCMS were very helpful. And it's unfortunate that we didn't get to achieve anything via that. And that was lockdown 2. It's now lockdown 3, and fishing is all well and groovy. Let's go fishing. Or let's take our metal detecting fishing, set up the pole and go in the field behind.
I think you could get a reel on the shaft of most detectors. You probably could, actually, if you just slip it off. Yeah, reel and a line. But
be honest, I'd be bored putting it on.
I just think it's something that everyone out there's got to kick up a bit of a stink about and go to whatever
association, organisation, body.
Yeah, pop them an email, send them a message through their website and ask what's happening. Because I'm missing it desperately, and I bet loads of other people are. There's only a certain amount of fine cleaning you can do.
I've been in communication today with Jason Massey, and he was part of a paper that was put together by people far more learned than I, and it was fantastic. I mean, it was related to metal detecting and archaeology helping people with PTSD and such like. But the paper itself, in effect, is related to everybody with depression and anxiety issues, and obviously, this current lockdown that we're in would lead fully into that area.
Yeah, I've just wondered, is magnet fishing?
Or is it metal detecting with a magnet? There's no governing body for that, and the Anglers Trust, some of the angling people within the Angling Trust don't like magnet fishing. So the, what was it called? The water... Waterways, Canals and Waterways Trust, is it? Something like that.
Yeah,
again, not dissimilar. So there you go. Anyway, I think you finish, because I've had my say. I think everybody needs to contact whatever association they are in relation to and ask the question of what's going on, because let's face it, the Anglers Trust, who isn't exercise, is getting through on exercise. So
yeah, because what's going to happen, I don't want to keep going on about this, but what's going to happen is people are going to get fed up and they're going to go out detecting. And you can guarantee one person, John Smith's, going to get caught in a field, and it will be front page of national news. Metal detectorist ignores government guidelines, and it ruins our hobby, because there are people who are going to go out. Because
Adrian, there's people already. You must have seen on some Facebook groups people putting the fines up from today. Yeah, we're not in tier 3 and 4 anymore. We're in complete lockdown, but it's still going on. But
and at the end of the day, if you're in a field on your own with a spade and metal detector, unless you're an absolute idiot and you put the spade through your foot or slip over. There's not a lot. All right, there's the argument if you're driving there, you have an accident and the ambulance has got to come and all that. But, you know, realistically, fishing, I personally think it's a high risk hobby.
Adrian, let's be honest now, right? I've got a little paddock behind my house that I've never detected, but I've got permission to do so. I'm sure you've got one over the road from you, from what you've said in the past. The closest river to me, I've never seen a fish in it, and it's further away than the paddock. So if you're going fishing in any of these local areas, I've got quite a distance to go fishing, whereas I can go detected round the back of my house.
I've got a very interesting and innovative float combination on my rod.
Have you?
Yeah. No,
anyway,
we move on.
We move on because this could get very political, and I'd end up seeing my bum and saying things that I'm not allowed to say, or Luke will bite me. So I think we'll move on and we'll introduce our guests tonight, all the way from America, from Kelly Co Metal Detecting, Mike Tyminski, and Carolyn, whose name I've got down wrong. Good evening.
Good evening.
How's it going?
All right. How's yourselves?
Doing good. You might have one of the names wrong. I don't know if it's Carolyn's or mine. Mine is actually Mark. So I'm sorry about that.
Right. So I've got both of them wrong. So it's Mark Tyminski, and I've got Carolyn Harwick.
I recently got married. That's
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations from us too. So what is it now?
It's Johannes. Carolyn Johannes. Yeah.
Good German name right there.
I've just updated my archives and we're ready to move on. Good evening again.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We introduced ourselves to you before the show. The first thing that we like to do before we start speaking about anything else is to ask the guests yourselves to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Carolyn,
ladies first.
Yes.
My name's Carolyn Johannes, and I live in Florida, Orlando, Florida, and I'm a VP of Community Outreach and Sales here at Kelly Co. And I've been here for a little over 2 years with Kelly Co. But I've been a detectorist for about 7 years.
She said the magic word, Adrian. She said Florida, and I'm dead sad now.
Florida and detecting, yeah. Lovely.
Florida and me singing in a bar in Old Town in Kissimmee. Mark,
Very
what about
familiar
yourself?
with Old Town.
Mark, what about yourself?
Well, I've been with the company for 12 years now, going on 12 years. I started right out of college in a IT tech support. I was building computers for minimum wage. And I just stumbled on this whole industry of metal detecting and treasure hunting. I had no idea what it was about. And I met Stuart Auerbach and family, and they just took me under their wing, and I was able to blossom into business and learn about this awesome hobby. And honestly, it's so much fun where you can hear treasure stories, you can travel, but more importantly, it's hearing the adventure and joining a community of excellent people for over 12 years. So we have just great relationships with our vendors and with our customers, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But going back to my title, I'm the VP of Affiliate and Vendor Relations. And I have the pleasure of working alongside Carolyn here in Orlando, Florida, and we have another office in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I want to go there as well.
You're welcome to come. Maybe we can get you out there, do some Civil War hunting.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Pete Terrell's asked me to say hi to you, and specifically, Mark. He usually catches up a few times a year, but unfortunately not this year.
Hi, how you doing, Pete? Yeah, I remember meeting Pete over in England, actually. And I think that was the year, I'm trying to think now, at least with LP detecting, Pete, that's what I'm talking about. It was the Equinox launch at Detectable. And so that was just an amazing time, and got to see a lot of great people that I've never seen. And I have one funny story that is really embarrassing, and I probably shouldn't tell this story, but it's entertaining, and I'll make a joke of myself. I was getting a taxi from Heathrow Airport, And where the town was called, I'm a big Hobbit fan, Lord of the Rings. So I said, I need to go to Oxfordshire, England, to the taxi driver. And the guy's like, what? Where do you want to go? And I'm like, oh gosh, I just realized what I did. So, typical American move right there. But yeah, it was a great time. I see Scott from Detector Network just said hi and wanted to give him a shout out. Just met Scott. He's a great guy. So there's my embarrassing story.
What, knowing Scott? Yeah, it is embarrassing. I know him too. When you mentioned the Hobbit, I live in a place called Congleton in the UK, which is more or less Midlands, and the next town to me is called Leek. It's very, very well known for being associated to the Lords of the Rings. There's a pub called the Green Dragon, or used to be, and the Roaches, which is a sandstone rocky outcrop of hillocks, such like. That's what a lot of Middle Earth was actually based on by J.R. Tolkien when he came to the area, apparently. Oh, wow. So I'm quite lucky in that respect.
That's amazing. Yeah, I just watched the first Hobbit movie on HBO again, and there's something about that movie that just, again, I think it is about that allure of treasure, going back to what we do. And I didn't realize this, that I would get into this hobby or be surrounded by so many stories of fun, cool things. But growing up, one of my favorite movies was Indiana Jones. And so I think it is funny how naturally you tend to gravitate towards something that you're interested in. And if you're lucky enough, you can do something you're passionate in. So, we get a lot of fun stories. And you mentioned you did visit Florida. I'm interested if you know about the 1715 treasure fleet.
Yes, and the reason I know about that is basically down to Cooper's Treasure and Daryl Miklos. We had him on the show when we were doing the podcast version a few years ago. So obviously watching Cooper's Treasure in the UK, plus several other documentaries on Discovery and such like. Yeah, I've know of the 1715. I'm not brilliant and high up on it. I think we've actually got an article on the website from a chap who there's something related to, he's been diving on a wreckage in Mexico that I think in some way is related to the 1715 fleet.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So there you go. Adrian, I'll hand over to you and you can question Carolyn.
Carolyn, you all right?
Yes.
You've been with Kellyco now for a couple of years and you're a detectorist. Was it a job that you looked at purely because you like the hobby, or was it something that just came up and you thought, I need to pay my rent, so I need a job? Or was it, because it is like a dream if you're a detectorist working for a company that specializes in metal detecting?
Well, it's really funny how I came to Kellyco. I actually was working for a law firm. Stuff happened with the company and I didn't get paid for almost 2 months. So I said, okay, I'm done. I got to find something else. And I decided I'm going to take some time off work and I'm just going to detect. And all of a sudden I get a call out of the blue from Mark telling me there's a position at Kellyco. And because I'm also here in Central Florida, I'm president of the Central Florida Metal Detecting Club. So he heard about me and being the president and my passion for the hobby. So Mark asked me if I wanted to join the team. So I said, I can come meet you tomorrow morning, but after that, I'm taking off to Virginia to go do some Civil War hunting so we could see how it goes there. And so I went in, everything went great. And I said, well, I can come back in a week and start once I go and get my last dig in before I start before I start working for Kellyco. So it kind of, they found me, which was really awesome. And it is a dream job being a detectorist.
Do you get, what machine do you use at the moment, out of interest?
I have a number of machines. I actually have 8 detectors. I might have to go through them. I love my CTX 3030, excellent machine. And then my other machine that I absolutely love is my AT Max. I've tested the Apex. I own an Apex. I've got an AT Pro, a Note Macro Amphibio. I've got a bunch of detectors, but the 2 I use the most are my CTX and my AT Max.
Right. And just in case you don't know, you've got Garrett Apex behind you.
Yes. I sure do.
I've just written a review on one, which is in this month's Treasure Hunting magazine in the UK. A very nice, lightweight and sleek machine I found. A very lighter than the Simplex just. How did you find it? Or do you find it?
I liked it. One of the first things I did was take it to the beach because here in Florida, everybody goes to the beach. So I took it down there and I found it to be very stable. Like you said, it's lightweight, it's easy to use. And then I took it relic hunting to a heavily iron infested area, and I was able to pull some silver and Wheaties out of the ground without an issue. I mean, I think it's a great detector.
Yeah, I had a prototype version first, and it did have a few with the coil, which Garrett sorted out through Regton's here in the UK, a distributor, really quickly. But yeah, it's a lovely machine, and I'm looking forward to when they bring out a pro version of it, waterproof. But on the beach, I've only used it a couple of times on the beach, but compared to the old Garrett's, I found it absolutely amazing on the beach over here in the UK. Anyway, a really nice little machine.
Yeah, I agree. I found the same thing when I tested it. I take the AT Pro and AT Max to the beach, and when I took the Apex out there, it was very, very nice not to have all that chatteriness and clear signals. It was very stable in the salt water.
Yeah, it's a really nice screen and display as well, and nice tones. They've done a good job there, Garrett, I think. So it'd be interesting how it does in the UK. I've got a question for Mark, if that's all right, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was actually going to ask the question first because we haven't asked the question to actually tell us about Calico. Obviously, in the UK, people don't know much about Calico. We know you're a distributor, much like Regton and LP in the UK, but tell us all about Calico.
Carolyn, would you like me to go into the history?
Absolutely, Mark.
I am the historian at Calico, as well as unofficial weatherman on our Coffee with Calico podcast. I've made my own title. So it's 71 degrees here in Sanford, actually, Florida. But besides that, we'll go into your actual question about the history of Calico. We're going to be 66 years old this year. Stuart Auerbach was the founder of Calico, and Stu was a Army just a enlisted guy on the parallel in the Korean War. So he was a combat engineer trainer. He would train metal detectors, the minesweeping metal detectors on the border there to the troops. And he was also a bodybuilder. So he was in the Army. He was jacked and he would train all the time. And he got out of the Army and he retired over back in Florida. And I think he lived in the Keys and he settled in Miami. And that's where I brought up the weightlifting, because he actually he ran for Mr. Miami. And I want to say he was either runner up or he won. He was a really big guy, Stu, that is. And the thing is, he wanted to keep selling and learning and training on those metal detectors, because he's like, hey, look, the Army taught me how to use these things. Nobody's really doing it. I'm going to sell these out of the back of my car. So he would sell metal detectors out of his car. And he told me a story one time where back in the day, I don't know if this is true. I mean, it was a different time. He was driving across that old Key West bridge and his car stopped working, and he may, or somehow, let's just put it this way, the car may have fallen off the bridge. That's just how you do it back then. I'm not sure. But he was literally just going door to door, selling metal detectors, going to the beaches, selling treasure hunting, if you will. And that kind of upgraded to his house, selling out of his house. And his kids to this day, they're in their 50s or more, their early 50s to mid 50s. They remember people coming up to the house when they were kids, wanting to buy detectors and telling treasure stories. Stu just talking about all these stories and his adventures. And that upgraded to Stu getting like a little plaza. And then he got his own building in like the early 80s, I think it was, 30,000 square foot building. And he built out a massive treasure museum that was just full to the brim of his treasures from across the world, emeralds and Spanish wreckage, and it was beautiful. It was amazing, and we had people from all the world that would come and want to talk to Stu about those treasures. So, sadly, we did lose Stu. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago it's been. If it's 4 or 5, I'd have to look. But he was like a father to the whole company. But so that's why we care, and Carolyn cares so much about carrying that tradition. We have a lot of things internally that we don't even publicize. So for you UK viewers and even American viewers or worldwide, we embody those values that Stu had. We have sayings like Carolyn knows, we're the stewards, not only of the passion of metal detecting, but for the customer, putting the customer number one. So yeah, that's a little bit, I guess, a long bit, a bridge story of how Kellyco started. And I already told you we have 2 locations, 2 sales offices, one in Knoxville, Tennessee, one in Orlando. We do not distribute detectors, but we are more of a retailer. But we operate 2 showroom locations where people can come in and learn how to use the machines and get trained on them, as well as we have a website with email advertising and pay-per-click advertising and all that good stuff that you do in business.
Thanks, Mark. Just out of interest, the company was established in 1955. What was it originally established in selling? Because detectors weren't around then.
So there is a story that I'm a little fuzzy on, how Stu inherited the name Kelly Company. I think it was his wife's father's company, and I think it was like a carpet, something like that, a carpet store. They sold carpets and other things. And he kind of inherited that name from his wife's father, I believe it was, and then kind of just moved into the metal detecting at that time. But I do believe that it goes back from the Army training to coming over to the U.S. and then establishing a relationship with Garrett. Little known fact, Stuart Auerbach and Charles Garrett had a really close relationship. And when Charles was tinkering in his garage building the first detectors, that's, I think, around the same time that Stu was deployed. And they got together really fast early in their careers, and they were about the same age, that they synced up very early on, and they established just a really cool dynamic of a manufacturer and a retailer growing together.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've also done, I hope you don't mind, a bit of research and found out you had a guy working for you in 1980 called George Payne. And he was one of the first people to design VLF circuits for detectors, which were then moved on into the Coinmasters machines, which is quite impressive.
That's interesting. I've heard a little bit about that, but I'm not well versed. There's just so much history when it goes to Kellyco and the employees that came in, and like Gary Drayton is another one of the famous people that bought his CTX 3030 and his Excaliburs and a lot of his equipment from Kellyco because he lived in Florida, and we got to see just him get on to Curse of Oak Island, and he would write his books in the beginning, and he's just grown so much, and we still have a great relationship with Gary. There's all these figures, from book authors to other magazines in America to treasure hunters, you name it, that come in. We've even had celebrities. I believe Randy Travis, the country singer, at one time was a Kellyco customer. It's interesting who the different people that come in and that are surrounded by, again, this sense of treasure, this allure of gold and silver and the mystery. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. How have you, and talking about the present day, how have you and Carolyn found COVID has affected business and the hobby in the States? Because obviously in the UK, you probably heard before the show, we're not allowed out. How is it in the States, and how have sales been the last year?
I'll let Carolyn answer that since I've been bogarting, I feel like. So go ahead, Carolyn.
Well, metal detecting is the original social distancing hobby. So right now it's booming. I mean, everybody wants a detector. They want to get out. Families are getting out together. We're allowed to go out and detect because it is, unlike over there, it's considered exercise. Even when there were certain lockdowns that were in place, we were still allowed to get out and detect. We just had to keep socially distanced and everything like that. But we've definitely seen a big interest in metal detecting. And I think it's because with people being locked down on COVID, they're binge watching The Curse of Oak Island, or maybe they're seeing Detectorists, different things like that. So there's been a lot of interest. A lot of people come into our showroom that are new detectorists, and they've been watching The Curse of Oak Island and want to get interested in it because it's something they can do together with their family and get outside. So
Yeah.
I'd like you
to say that again, because it's very nice to hear that metal detecting is classed as a socially distancing hobby, which common sense clearly prevails that it is. And it's nice to know that in America you recognise that. It's if it was allowed in this country, I reckon the sales of metal detectors would go up without a doubt. They're probably doing okay at the moment from what I hear, but it is just a hobby which you can go out and be safe. So with the last sort of 12 months, we've had the Apex come out, we've had the Vanquish range come out, and obviously you've got the Simplex as well and other machines. What sort of machines have been quite popular, people buying in the States?
Hands down, the Equinox is doing very, very well. The Equinox, the AT Max, and I think the Simplex would be the three that we see the best, that people prefer. We do the CTX 3030. There has been a big increase in interest in that. And I think it's because people are locked down and watching Curse of Oak Island, and they see Gary Drayton uses it. But yeah, definitely the Equinox has got a lot of interest.
So what is that as a beginner buying that machine? Or
yep, beginner.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, quite a few bucks compared to what people spend over here in the UK. That's interesting. Very interesting. And Mark, have you been out? You both go out detecting together, do you, or do you go out separately, or do you meet up and detect?
We usually go out together. Carolyn still teaches me how to swing a metal detector and recover treasure. And honestly, she's that good and she has that many machines. I like to switch detectors, which is not good because if you keep doing that, you'll never learn one. But the last time we're out, we've been to the beach more so, I would say, than any other year. 2020, we just kept going out with the Apex. We did some fun videos with that, right, Carolyn? And we took the Simplex out just to test some beach performance because it is such a hot seller. And, taking that down, the ground balancing down, a manual ground balance it down to 0-0 really helped. And we're able to get some good performance out of that. But recently, I think we went to the Treasure Coast because we've had some hurricanes come through and there was just some massive cuts in the beach that were happening or occurring. So I took out, I think, an Excalibur during that day. And it was just a lot of fun. We go out there, we get to play with the new toys that are coming out. Again, like you mentioned, the Apex, and we're always excited to see what's coming out next. And we've heard some, rumors from different manufacturers of different things coming or maybe in 2021. So hopefully there'll be more opportunities to go out, and we really hope the events get back to normal too, because Carolyn and we happen to go travel across the country. One of our first times really getting to know each other was at the Charles Garrett Memorial Hunt. And we had been to the year previous. We were both at that hunt. We didn't know each other because she was not employed with Kellyco at the time. But that hunt, you get to have a good time. You get to meet people and interact and listen to their stories. And they have a YouTube channel, or what did they find during the hunt? And so that was really great. And both Carol and I look forward to that. of getting the chance to get on the road at some point, see the people, see new technology come out. I think we're really excited for that this year.
Yeah, I think you're pretty hard pushed nowadays to buy any machine, as long as it's from a recognised dealer. You won't find something. There's really good machines out there. The technology's getting better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, if you don't mind me interjecting, young Mr. Gaylor, I'm going to go over to sharing the screen for the Big Detecting Show weekly draw in association with Diggers Dips. Now, as you can see, we have now got 3 prizes instead of 1. And this will be an ongoing thing. It will change weekly. I've no idea what they are until it's actually sent to me a few hours beforehand. But tonight, the 3 prizes are as follows. In first place, Medieval English Groats Book. Second, Detector Finds 1. And in third place, Identifying Metal Artifacts. So that is tonight's 3 prizes. Now, as I said, this is going to be a weekly thing where we're going up to 3 prizes instead of 1. Some weeks there will be the Diggers Dips tokens available. But tonight we've got 3 great books, so thank you very much to Diggers Dips. Now, also, myself and Luke in the coming weeks are going to be organising our own draw. We're looking at machines and equipment, and we'll just fine-tuning everything so we can bring that to you. And that'll be, hopefully, if not a weekly draw, it'll certainly be a monthly draw. So we're just fine-tuning that and getting the crossing the T's and dotting the I's. No, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. Got it. I was thinking of Wayne's World all the way through that. So we've got 8 seconds left for the draw. I'll go with lucky number 7, Adrian.
11.
Mark?
3.
Carolyn?
5.
All low numbers. I don't even know how many are into. 31. Up to 31. So we're all going to stick with them numbers and none will win tonight. Unless it's 7 forever. Well, the first numbers are 0, so that's good. And don't forget, as soon as the draw's over and the winners are announced, we will be going straight to advertising. And none of us have won the first place.
11.
14.
Oh.
Number 10. So Medieval English Groats will go to Grail Trooper. You'll be sent a message via Digger Dips to your email, and you'll be able to claim that book, and it will come to your house sooner rather than later. 27.
18.
Mark?
3 again. It's coming.
Carolyn?
19.
What did I have then, Adrian?
69, I think.
No, it wasn't 69.
Oh,
it
sorry.
only goes up to 30. Well, it's number 1. 4. 19.
Oh, well done, Carolyn.
Steve-O, 2001, picks up Detector Finds 1. A fantastic book. And the final prize is Identifying Metal Artifacts. I'll go with... In fact, ladies first, Carolyn.
I'll go with 8.
Mark?
27.
Adrian?
16.
3. Oh,
If it's 3, I'm going to be
come
very
on, 3. Come on.
7.
Oh, number 6. Punk 76 UK gets Identifying Metal Artifacts. So thank you again, as ever, to Diggers Dips for tonight's draw. And it's over to the adverts.
Most hobbies that I'm involved with, I end up spending a lot of money on them. This particular hobby, I love it because it pays me back. I had an initial investment, and then after that, it's all just gold and coins and jewelry that have financial value. And so it's a whole new ball game for me to feel like I'm doing something that's actually benefiting my life and my family.
Call today for your free Kellyco catalog and start finding treasure tomorrow.
My name's Keith, and I metal detect.
I'm Dave D, and you're watching XP Team USA.
Welcome back, everybody. Adrian, have you had a look at the comments? Everybody started playing Guess the Number.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
That did make me chuckle.
We should do something for that. I might have a word with Greenlight Publishing on that.
Marvelous.
We could have a random show prize, a little one or something for that.
I've got an idea for a fantastic competition, but I'm going to have a word with Luke about it because it's
Is that the one where I have to take my clothes off again?
Not that one. No, that's another one. That's
Oh,
another
right.
one.
Yeah, because that wasn't on the show. That was personal. But yeah, I
That
didn't
was
enjoy
pre-show.
that very much. No.
I didn't either, to be honest.
No.
I'll be totally fair. A bit of a shout out to Scotty B, North of Time Metal Detecting. He's asked me to let people know Detecticon in July of this year, if it goes ahead, now has 68 full weekend tickets with camping available and 8 weekend tickets without camping available. So they are going fast.
That's going to be a weekend, that is.
That will. And do you know what's the best thing about it? All you southerners are coming up north. So you'll all have your big coats on and you'll all be drunk in an instant because the beer's too thingy for you.
I think we'll drink you under the table any day.
Softies, mate. No chance.
You and your Webster's bitter and all that malarkey.
Have you seen the size of Scotty B? Scotty B can drink for England.
I've met him briefly on the treasure hunting stand last. No, we didn't have Detectable last year, did we?
No. Scotty was actually asking me for the video, but I can't find it. I hope Luke's got it stored somewhere because Scott wants the video. Look, he's laughing. Anyway, I think that's it for our parish notices as such. I want to give 2 things I want to do. Luke, if we could share the screen, please. And we're going to the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine website. Did you know there's an app?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Drink. And me as well. As I say, we've had all of these articles that you see scrolling through now have come up in the next week, and there's some doozies. There really is. Absolutely phenomenal. Finds from America, finds from the UK, finds from Poland. The Overton boiler explosion by Dean Stainton. We've got a regular series of cryptozoological posts by Richard Freeman. Fantastic bullet display. Siren Kimmy, we've got several articles from her. Digger Dawn. And you're up to date because last one we spoke about last week was the ducking school still by Doug Pickford. So as you can see, we've got all sorts on there. www.archmdmag.co.uk. And I was going to show you something else. Yes, that was it. 2 things to help people, I hope, in the current lockdown. First of all, we have an ID library. And as you can see, all these images, I'm sure, in some way or another, will help you identify something, we hope. Lots and lots on there. And if there's anything that isn't on there and you have access to, we'd appreciate you sending it over so we can add it to the database. So all sorts on there, from bullets to symbology to buckles to fossils, all sorts. Second up is the education page. Now, most of the education things that we've got listed here are A, for research purposes, or B, free courses and such like. And all of them fantastic links are on there. And again, if anybody has anything that we haven't got on there, we'd appreciate sending that over so we can add it to the site. That one's one of my favorites. The cutout model, Neolithic paper model that you make the house. It's fantastic, that one. So there you go. That's all I wanted to speak about on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine website. And what's that you've got there, Adrian?
Sorry, Dave. Yes, you can also buy books from Greenlight Publishing on all your finds. So head over. This is sold out, but it's available again now. But whilst we're sitting at home unable to detect, you can visit greenlightpublishing.com and find some very good books on identifying your artifacts. And it's amazing when you find a little bit of you think, and you do a bit of research and you realize it's something more than what it actually is. So head over to greenlightpublishing.com. Bit of a plug there. Yeah, definitely worth a look. And Finds Identified is a cracking book as well as Finds Identified 1.
I was absolutely got. In fact, I've republished the Finds identified one myself. It's coming up the review for that. So
You've done that, haven't you, Dave?
oh, so yeah, we've done that. But it's the book I ordered the other week when we were live on air with Mark Ollie, and it's book 2 of his Celtic Warrington and Other Mysteries. So that came. So I've got lots to read. I've got that one to review. I've got Hill Forts of the Cheshire Ridge by Archeo Press to review, and Egyptian Hieroglyphics for Complete Beginners to review. So yes, I'm glad I'm off work. Anyway, shall we bring our guests, Mark and Carolyn, back? Proper English banter that was going on there.
That was good. We do the same over here.
So obviously, one of the things we were talking about before the break was your visit to the Treasure Coast. And I'm presuming by the Treasure Coast, you mean that of the 1715 fleet.
That's right.
One of our viewers has asked, anything of consequence did you find on that particular trip when the cut was up and such like?
It was Carolyn. She did all the work.
Well, we got there a little bit late because we're always working. And I said to Mark, I said, we need to leave work and get down there now. So we just left to head down there and test out some machines. So by the time we got there, the tide wasn't exactly right. But I did find some musket balls and pieces of lead, the grape shot from it. But that was about it. But they were finding those by the dozens. And I do know Terry Shannon, he's very well known as one of the best hunters along the Treasure Coast. I know he found a Riel on the coast. So, but I didn't find, that's eluded me for years. I'll get it one day, but that trip I didn't find it.
So am I right in saying that the 1715 treasure fleet was a Spanish fleet that was returning to Spain in 1715, and as a hurricane occurred and most of the fleet was basically sunk?
Was it 11 out of 12 ships, Carolyn?
Wow.
I believe that's what it is. And it was also carrying the Queen's jewels, which is what everybody's looking for.
Right.
There's a shout out for a museum that you need to go see, Mel Fisher's Museum in Sebastian. There's 2 of them. You can go to both, but we're closer to Sebastian, so you can come swing by Kellyco in the Orlando showroom, and then you can go to the Mel Fisher Museum. But they have a silver bar, and like for VIP select guests, I don't know how I gave a 20 or something, but I was able to lift the 80-pound silver bar, and then I passed out afterwards. But it was impressive. I mean, there was just tons and tons of copper, silver, gold, all the riches from the Americas. It's really impressive to go see that museum, to see what they retrieved from the wrecks. And I know I went with Carolyn, and you could watch her spend an hour or more, countless hours in there, because she looks at the types of objects. And what's funny is she starts talking about, well, see that spoon right there? That's what they would use to put the salt on the bread. And I'm just like, I don't know how you know that, but she would go through each one. It's fascinating.
It was actually on that particular trip that you're talking about, we actually met Gary there, Gary Drayton down there. And Mark said watching myself and Gary walk through the museum and look at everything, he's like, it was like 2 kids in a candy shop. Like we were both just everything. It was crazy going down there and seeing everything and sharing our stories with each other.
Have you, either of you, actually found anything related, of consequence to the 1715 fleet itself being in that general area?
I have. All that I found, I mean, it's not great, but it's one of my favorite finds. I found a bronze spike, which being where it was found at and the date of the spike, I mean, we're pretty sure it's from the 1715 fleet because everything else that was coming up at the time.
It's great to be able to hold something in your hand that you can categorically suggest it is related to something, something major in history, and that being something major.
Absolutely. Speaking of major history, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but I've got this little bag on my shelf in my relic room at home. And if you look at this bag, it just looks like a bunch of junk. It's scrap aluminum pieces. I got called with the club. What happened is a property owner was finding all these pieces of metal, and he thought it might be from a plane. And so we went out there, and people from Washington were involved, DC were involved, came down to try to identify this. Our youngest member at the time, who was 15, found a plate with the serial number on it. So we actually identified a missing World War II plane from World War II, and the pilot was MIA. So we were able to identify that, and I've got all these little scrap pieces that are from it in a bag on my shelf, which is really cool because nobody else would know what they were. But
I know a certain Mr. Editor of the Treasure Hunting magazine who would be beside himself with that.
Yeah.
Julian Evan Hart from the editor of Treasure Hunting magazine. He's got multiple pictures. He's big into aircraft archaeology, and he's got multiple pictures. In fact, how many propeller blades has he got in the house?
His house is like an aircraft hangar. Aircraft hangar. He's and even where I detect in Essex in the UK, which isn't too far from London, quite a few permissions I detect in. He says, "Oh, just down the road, Junkers 88 crashed, or just over there a Spitfire." He knows.
wow.
And he's been on some really interesting recoveries, we should call it, of World War II planes crashing, because we have quite a few, especially in the South Coast.
Right.
Quite often I'll dig up aluminum, as you call it, from a crash, and it's interesting. And bullets as well. A lot of rounds fired at planes, tracers. You can well, not tracers, but you can trace the bullets across the field where they've been shot. But
we have this one site that we were detecting that was a base during World War II, and the Kaufman Chargers. We were finding those like pop tops all over. And if you didn't know what they were, I mean, it's cool to find one. You know, most people won't find one of those, but we were finding literally hundreds of those. And I also found a large dummy bomb from World War II that they would have dropped to see where it would land and all that. That was one of my favorite World War II ones.
That's the activated, but I find those almost every weekend. Not live. That one isn't live. That's been deactivated. But out of interest,
I found a pen.
out of interest, Mark and Carolyn, what are your? I won't say. What are your most favourite finds you've found metal detecting? Not the most expensive or valuable, but the most interesting finds that you've found in your years detecting. What's your favourites?
I live vicariously through Carolyn, and I know her story. I know one of her favorite. I don't know if she'll tell this one, but I like it a lot.
Is it okay? You want me to tell it then?
Well, I think so. I think especially you got to really ham it up because this is a different audience. You have to reenact it. You got to do everything.
Mark?
Swinging the detector, proper clothes on, camo gear. You go for it.
Under the black, under the eyes, just like in American football.
Well, I do a lot of traveling when I'm metal detecting, and this was before Calico. I get together with club members, and we go across the country and I'm trying to hit all 50 states metal detecting. We were on a hunt in Ohio, and we were trying to prove that there was a skirmish during the Civil War on the property. And the homeowner did a lot of research, but we needed to find artifacts. If we could find the artifacts, we could prove that it happened there, and we could get his house on the National Historic Registry. So I'm a very visual person. So there's these rolling hills, and I was at the edge of the woods, and I looked over and I saw where the cannons would be firing. And then I saw the creek, and I'm like, if I was a soldier, I'd run over there. And, that's where I would run away from everything firing at me. So I started walking over there, and I'm just talking out loud, it's a huge field. And I'm like, I was like, I know you were scared, or, just talking to myself, and you dropped something when you were scared. Let me find it. Let me tell your story. And my metal detector went beep. And I'm like, I dug something, and honestly, it was my first Civil War hunt. I have no idea what I found. And it turned out to be my favorite find of all time. What it was a 3-ringer bullet that the soldier would have carved. It's called trench art. And he carved it into a lead stylus or a pen. and he would have had a little hole where he would have worn it around his neck. And he would have used that lead pencil, to write in his journal or letters home and dipped it in berry juice or ink. The really cool part about it was the tip, because lead is so soft, it was bent to the soldier's fingers. So it's a very personal find. The way that I found it, when I found it, was so crazy. But it's now in a museum in Ohio. It was donated to the property owner who donated it to a local museum. And that hunt that was put on, it was called the Civil War Preservation Project of Ohio. It did prove that there was a skirmish on the property, and the house did end up on the National Historic Registry.
It's a fantastic story.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is, whenever you say Ohio, I in my head automatically go versus everything, because I'm a big wrestling fan. Yeah, I mean, Trenchard. We know about Trenchard in the UK. We've done a show last year around D-Day, was it, Adrian?
Yeah, D-Day. Yeah,
D-Day or VE Day, and we had people coming on. We asked for people to offer fines up on the Facebook page beforehand, and there was a lot of Trenchard coming up. I think one of my favourites, Adrian, was the Penny Spitfires, where they make little aircraft out of an old penny. Honestly, in fact, I'll find it in a minute, and Luke can bring it up, so obviously you can see that for yourself. But fascinating. What about yourself, Mark? And what anything of consequence that is really close to your heart?
I'm still looking. Mine are like the stories when we went to Pound the Ground together. Carolyn and I. Was that last year or 2 years now, Carolyn? I can't remember. I guess
19, October of 19.
Okay, yeah. See, it's been a long year, as we say. But I found a Canadian penny, like a 1 cent or something, just like pocket change. But when we were digging, and the hilariousness of that whole trip and what I was trying to do, I think I ended up 19 inches down. I don't know how many centimeters. I need to Google that, but it was pretty far down. And I was like, you know what, Carolyn, there's something here. I feel it. She knew what was going on, but I'm like, it's a treasure chest. I'm telling you right now, I'm getting a strong signal. I ended up breaking some kind. Well, I shouldn't say that. I ended up hitting some kind of irrigation pipe in this farm field, and it was not a treasure chest, but the banter that we had going on, she's like, Mark, just stop it. And I didn't have a shovel. I had a hand digging tool. So I'm sitting there going, this is like a foot, 2 feet down. I think it was actually 2 feet down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And just painstakingly looking, and we had people like surrounding us and everything. It's like, yeah, it's a big deal.
And I was just like,
no, don't do it. Don't do it. No. So nothing of consequence. I've been to Arizona, gold detecting out there. The property we were at was pretty hunted out, and all I found was like modern bullet fragments. And then when I go to the 1715, I either find modern jewelry or scrap metal most of the time. Nothing of like 1715 treasure. So I just need to get more hours out there. But it's really about the experiences. And even if I like finding that Canadian coin we were in New York in the USA, I still have that memento to take home, and think about the trip that we had and all the memories that we made.
and
Have you noticed here, I've got a line down the middle, and on one side you've got me and Mark who find nothing, and the other side you've got Adrian and Carolyn who find wonderful things.
I'm quite fortunate. I've got for Christmas, I got a lovely case to put my coins in.
Oh wow!
Oh jeez.
Yeah. So
show and tell and show Dave Uptime, is it now?
No, I won't. I've got me hammers in there and me stators and
wow,
all bits.
Awesome.
I'll let you get the stator out and show Mark and Carolyn the stator.
Yeah, we want to see it.
Yeah.
No. They can Google it. I'll go on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. But out of interest, when you were at Detectival, Mark, did you find much when you were there? Because obviously,
Not much, no. So most of especially in business, and you can ask a lot of the guys, Pete, and any, when you're doing a show, if you will, it's hard to get out there. It's hard to get into a field because if you are detecting, you're trying out the new equipment. I think at Pound the Ground that year, Carolyn, wasn't the Simplex that was a launch or near launch detector. Yeah. So we were out there in the training circle, if you will, and we're hitting already, seeded items. It was quite impressive to see that little machine soar. But at Detectival, I only got out, I think, maybe for 30 minutes, and I had to go back in. So I don't even think I hit anything. But that's the shame of it. Is what I would like to do is going on these trips in the future to really plan maybe a couple days afterwards, or hooking up with other detectorists in that area that know the properties and have a little bit more access to things. So I'll probably be knocking on your guys' doors now. So sorry that you met us because
more than welcome.
Yeah. Dave's not got a lot near him, but down here in the south we have plenty of pines. So
yeah, but we can drink more beer than you can.
They haven't got proper beer. We have proper beer. We're close to Europe, so
we don't need big coats up here.
As the ships come in, the good beer we take, and then the dregs go to Dave, and he's.
But Dave brews his own.
How's our beer?
Do my own.
What was that? Sorry, Mark.
How's our beer over here? Have you guys tried a lot of the beer or the breweries over here?
I came over to America in 1998 was when I was in Kissimmee. I actually made two Mexican women cry in a pub in Old Town. I was doing karaoke and sang La Bamba. And it wasn't a bad thing. They were actually crying because I sang it so well. So that's my great claim to fame. I was actually drinking. I've never had it before. I've never drank gin before and never drank it here, but I was on gin and sour in the Hard Rock Cafe. I've drank it here and it was horrible. Yes, Adrian.
Sorry, batting in. That's really weird. I was in Kissimmee in '98.
Really?
Yeah. Wedding anniversary. First wedding anniversary. So
me and my ex-brother-in-law, now the godfather to my children. Me and him spent a lot of time in the Ponderosa in Kissimmee, which is an all-you-can-eat restaurant. Oh yes, look at me now.
Adrian, did you make two ladies cry as well?
Yeah, but different circumstances. Yeah, not singing karaoke. Yeah.
Yes, I'll definitely be coming back to America in the future. It's obviously money and life at the moment that's it's got in the way, but my wife wants to take the kids to America, and I had a really bad experience, I'll be honest with you, because when we got to the airport, Stanford International Airport, we had a fly drive booked, and obviously everything was paid beforehand. And when we got there, they wouldn't allow us to have the car unless we paid something like $200 per person extra when we got there. So I think there was 8 of us, and it cost us another $1,600, and there was 3 of us, so that was $600 of mine gone straight away. So,
well, I'll tell you what, if you guys come back, you let us know, and we'll come up and pick you up.
Marvelous. I will be back. Do you know what? I've never seen rain like it. I've just been to the airport to pick the second lot of people back up, and we're coming down from Stanford to Kissimmee on the main, what would you call it over there? We call it a motorway. Yeah. Yep. So we're driving down there, and I've never seen rain like it in my life. It just, the heavens opened, and you couldn't see out your window. It was that bad. And on the radio came Riders in the Storm. Always remember that.
It's like a monsoon.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely
really
brilliant.
When I landed at Stanford Airport and drove to the house we were staying in, it was really bad rain. And I had some Pontiac Grand Prix convertible like you do, a nice car, and it was shocking, the rain, really bad out there. But one thing I have got to say from America, the American IPA, lovely.
I don't like IPA, and I love gin. So it's funny, the gin story, that's all I drink. And when I was at Detectable, there was like this Blue Ox pub, and they had their own homemade like pink gin. And it was like some of the best I've had, but IPA, it's just like it's got that aftertaste.
Lovely.
More of like a wheat.
Yeah, it brings you closer to the field and the land.
Yes.
It's actually nicknamed in the UK Mother's Ruin. The ruin of many a mother. We've got one or two questions in the chat room which I'm trying to find. One of them was from Graham Laraway. He says, question for Mark and Caroline. Have you ever found anything in West Virginia?
Oh, that'd be Carolyn again.
That would be me. Last year, I think it was 2019, I think. Yeah, it was. We did a trip where we went to a show in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we drove to go meet Garrett to help with the Boy Scout hunt in West Virginia. So we went through, did some detecting in Virginia because I can't go anywhere and not detect. My detector's everywhere and I'm going to stop and I'm going to detect somewhere. So when we got to West Virginia out at the scout camp, we got to play around and stuff. And we found a few, like just some shotgun shell head stamps and things like that. But afterwards, we found an old homestead across from where we stopped to have a beer afterwards. And, we found just some old wheat pennies, and I think I found a thimble, and some sort of like a plant tag, but that was it. We only have one day to detect. The next day we moved on to Kentucky and did some detecting there. So just your basic relics that you would find around.
Did you lick any of those relics? This is a thing, by the way. I want to know if this is an English thing. I'm just going to call you out on this.
It's an English thing. It's an English thing.
You lick you lick the finds?
Oh yeah, lick them and wipe them on my lag.
Me too.
I'm from the North Age, and that's why I'm all right with the coronavirus pandemic. I'm happy with that.
I say that
my coins.
We have
work detecting. I'm fine with Corona.
what's that disease you get in soil? Someone will put it in the chat. Dave, we get the jab for it when we're at school.
BCG.
No. You get it when you're a kid. There's a lot of bacteria and germs.
Rubella and measles and mumps.
Rubella's for girls. You probably had that.
Never known that.
There's a lot of diseases and bacteria in the soil, and in the UK we all have jabs when we're children to prevent us against it. Some tetanus, yes. Tetanus. So if you're licking your fines, you could potentially get tetanus, which is an awful disease.
Do you know where you actually have the tetanus injection? The tetanus injection is in the bottom.
I've never had it in the bottom. You must have had a strange doctor. That's all I can say.
It was a nurse, and it was in the bottom.
Yes. Well,
why do we always lower the tone? Always.
Carolyn, have you detected in the UK?
I have not. That's a huge bucket list item for me. I was supposed to go in October of 2020, but that got canceled. So I'm hoping to get over there soon. It's my dream place to detect over there.
If you two, either of you are over, give me a shout, and Dave, and we'll take you to some nice places. And
not together because I'm about 4,000 miles away from you. There you go. That was his gold stater then. That's a Celtic coin of approximately what? 2,500 years old, maybe?
2,200 years old.
Oh,
that Celtic gold stater, yeah. And it got me hammers and things. I'm very fortunate. A permission I've got. It's very, very, very hard in the UK to get land to metal detect on. It's ridiculously hard. It's almost like trying to find a boyfriend or girlfriend in lockdown. You have to rely on social media and email. And I've got my friend who I detect with. We're very fortunate. We've got a very big permission. And it's only been detected on by one person in 30 years.
Oh my
so
God.
there's a lot of that. And he's unfortunately dead now. So we quite often find hammered coins every other weekend. So we're really, really lucky. But yeah, if you guys come over here, give me a shout and I'll take you out and you'll get some good finds. But as long as you don't lick them. And I end up taking you to our casualty A&E because you got some type of disease or something. But
NHS is free over here, though, so everything's cool.
That's the only downside to the hobby over here in the UK, which you probably don't hear about. It is very, very hard. So we can't metal detect in parks or public.
Wow.
So you have to seek permission off a landowner, and some of them are a bit dubious about you going on their land. So it's a trust thing. And when I got my permission with my friend, we had to hand over our driving licenses. He asked for references. He asked for everything. Almost wanted like a criminal reference check, and it's quite tricky. And you obviously have to look after them at Christmas with a good gift, but it's very, very hard. What's it like in the States for getting permissions? Do you go up to a landowner and just say, I'd like to detect on your land, and they go, yeah, fine? Or do they go, why? What's it like?
I think I get 9 out of 10 permissions that I ask for permissions with. Even that trip that I was talking about to Virginia, when we went through Tennessee, Virginia, and everything, every place that I asked for permission, I was able to get it. So I do a lot of door knocking and private permissions. That's mainly what I do. I don't really do the beach that much unless it's the right time where I could find artifacts, because I'm a relic hunter. So, and I saw in chat, somebody said it's much easier for girls. I really think that's my advantage. They tend to they don't think I'm intimidating, I guess.
Well, not just that, but your education, where you actually do the research of the area and you start spouting off like, yeah, did you know about 1860 that this railroad station was here? And then you start to enamor them. And then they go, well, I want to know what's on my land. And I think that's one of the other keys to it, that you really, if you come into it with the knowledge, the property owner is going to want to see what's in their land.
That's very true. I have this one town that I detect. I mean, the mayor's like come up to me and said, hey, you should detect here. I'm like, that's restricted. It's locked up. He's like, here's my cell phone. Call me. I'll open it up for you. Because I've built that reputation with the community and the rapport with the historical society and the locals. Attended Rotary meetings to get to know people that are have big influence in the town, and learn about the history. Tons of research, going to the UCF, University of Central Florida, looking through the microfiche, looking at old maps. It's not just walking up and knocking on a door. I kind of have something that I know about it before I go there.
Yeah, mind you, without sounding sexist, being a woman probably does help.
It does.
That sounded really sexist, that did, mate.
Do you wear a shirt and then like a short top?
Are you talking to Mark now?
Yeah. I'm talking to Mark. Yeah. No, it's you might not have the historical finds as far back as us.
Right.
Do have the land to detect on, which is a struggle for people over here. We have a lot of clubs, but obviously they can't go out.
I think it's the intimidation factor nowadays with security, and you have these doorbells and cameras, and I think there's something to be said. If somebody comes up to your door, I think especially a male, and here's a tip: don't bring your shovel up to the door. I know these are common things that people know, but if there are beginners watching, if you come up with a shovel and you're kind of like standoffish, that's the thing why I was going into, when you start leading into the history and you're knowledgeable and you have some kind of, it's almost like a pitch, like, yeah, and I'll either give you the finds or I'll tell you about what they are or split them, whatever that is. I don't, know, but if you come prepared instead of stuttering and like you have a shovel in your hand. But I know, Carolyn, you also talk about like the ethics of what you do, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And one of the things is I use, I've learned this from one of my really good friends, is when I ask for permission, I never use, let me go dig up your yard or anything like that. When they ask what metal detecting is, I use words like it's recovering relics and,
yes,
replacing the plug when I'm finished so that you don't know I'm there. I never say anything about digging or anything like that. So it doesn't sound as intimidating to them.
Unearthing history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's exactly the right word.
Luke, would you be able to share the screen? I just want to show our trench yard.
Wow.
That's what I was on about, the penny Spitfires. So basically, trench yard, as I say, there's the coin, the original how it would have been.
Wow.
And these are actually some that people have found, but Julian Evan Hart put together this step-by-step instruction of how they actually made it, obviously using paper instead. So you can see how it becomes the plane from the round disc that was would have been the penny. So absolutely fun, beautiful little things. So yeah, we like our trench art. We've actually got quite a few American-related articles that have been put on lately. And one of them, that when you mentioned the spike earlier, there's a guy, New York, I think, north of New York. He actually found he was metal detecting around an old railway house, and he found what he thought was a normal spike, but it turned out to be a gold spike. And it was actually a ceremonial one when it was opened that they dropped and lost. So big metal spike that he's been able to give back to the community, which is fantastic for in anywhere in the world. If you're able to actually do that, give something back to where it really belongs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the permission I detect on, I'm in the process of putting together a picture frame, like a thick one, with all the finds on the map of the land the landowner owns and what was found. And it might be a thimble or an old hammered coin, but it's history for the land he owns. So going back through his relations, it's something nice to give to him. I haven't got round to finishing it yet, but it's something that which I think is they like. You know, if you can reward them, you can pay money, you can give people wine, beer, whiskey, but if you actually give them this has come off your land, it's a nice bit of history and having it on the wall. And I think when you find a landowner who actually appreciates that, you've got permission for life. Do you know what I mean? It's unless someone comes along and gives him £20,000 or dollars.
We've got another question in. Obviously, in the UK, we have a lot of old metal detecting hoards, be it Roman, be it medieval, etc., even Celtic status lately. But the question is, do you find many people find hoards of coins in the US of A?
Yeah, I think we just call it something different, right, Carolyn? Like coin spills?
No, we call it a cache.
A cache or coin spills, or you know,
coin spills, cache.
Yeah,
I mean, you do find them. I mean, I hear about it all the time.
Yep.
I was just hearing a story about one of my friends who's a detectorist in the 80s. He went out on a property because there were a lot of coins that were buried in milk, big milk containers, the big metal milk jugs. And he was able to find 2 of them, but there were supposedly 8 buried on the property, just full of coins from the early 1900s. And I couldn't even imagine finding something like that. I've heard all different types of stories like that where they find stuff, but ours aren't as old, of course. Ours are just going to be stuff that most of it was hidden during the Depression, is when they started burying money.
I know too, one Plugmaster Ford on YouTube, he found a big silver, I would call it a hoard because it was that many coins, just silver all over the place. And then the one that couple found, you guys may have heard about this in the news, like a couple in California were walking by a tree and there was a can filled with $10 million worth of gold coins.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
It's just, you know, they're out there. And again, like Carolyn said, our history isn't as old, but like if you look at the Depression, like Carolyn said, and people, what they use, Carolyn, like those mason jars and lift up the post holes, or they made a post hole and lifted up the post. And that was their version of a bank, because the banks would get robbed and then you lost your money in those days.
And then also they pulled you were supposed to turn in all of your gold coins. That was required. So a lot of people just buried them. They weren't going to turn them in. So now, you know, there's people find caches of gold coins that were buried during that time period.
And that's on your want list, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming up to, well, it's just past half now. We usually finish at 9:30. So before we go, is there anything else you'd both like to add from yourselves or about Calico or anything else?
I mean, I'll close out saying we are excited for the end of COVID. I'm sure you guys are, being stuck in our houses and not being able to travel as much. And, you know, our thoughts go with you guys to get out there and find that adventure. And we're just so happy and pleased to be on this show and to meet you both. If there's anything we can do for you on the USA side, we're here, Dave and Adrian. Thank you so much. And I learned a lot, and I think you guys are doing a great thing, and I love what you're doing. So thank you for having us.
You're more than welcome. Carolyn.
Yeah, I want to thank you both as well for having us on here. I'd like to extend an invite. I have a podcast that I do. It's a live show that I do on Wednesdays called Coffee with Kelly Co. If you guys would like to join one Wednesday, let me know. We'll get it set up, and I'd love to have you guys seen by our American viewers. So
that'll be a great honor. Thank you very much.
I think that would be a lot of fun. But thank you so much for inviting us. I did learn a lot today too, and it was a lot of fun. Whenever I could talk treasure with people who like treasure, it's always a good day for me.
I like to hear the different stories coming from America. We had Nathan Matthews from Pound the Ground. We had him on a few weeks ago, and he was an absolutely fantastic guest, wasn't he, Adrian?
Oh gosh, yeah, really, really interesting. Yeah. Definitely. Sorry.
You first.
No, I think one of the benefits of lockdown is we've probably been reaching out more to people we wouldn't have otherwise, and being able to talk to you guys and listen to how you detect and what it's like in the States. It's really nice, and it's great listening tonight. And I appreciate you both coming on the show. It's been really interesting. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I think I've realised that the world isn't as big as it isn't as small as it used to be. Technology allows us to have a great looking 4-way conversation perfectly with no dropouts, any internet issues at all for a change. So it's nice to be able to hear what's coming from America, your side of metal detecting, and those of other guests we have from America. We've got several more lined up. Daryl Miklos has agreed to come on the show when he's actually got 5 minutes, because I know he's a very busy man. And there's one of the Kellys, the father Kelly from the gold divers, Alaskan gold diver. What do they call it up there? Bering gold divers.
Sea Gold.
Yeah, so we've got Daddy Kelly coming on from that in the near future as well. Nice. But again, he's got to wait for his time slot and what have you to be able to do that. Talking of guests, while I'm talking of guests, I've got no idea who's on in the coming weeks. Next week, we've got the man from Arch.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes, Chris from Archie. I think Dave, do you know what? This makes me laugh. I presume I'm in the show. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Dave's talking about how brilliant technology is.
No dropout.
I was just laughing, thinking that.
He probably just turned on his PlayStation 5 and wiped out his broadband.
No.
Cable's probably gone. But next week we've got a guy on from Archie MD. Dave, are you back?
Yes, I done that thing where I clicked on the tab to go to Facebook, which was actually the StreamYard tab. You know, that one that I do occasionally.
I've forgotten that Chris is coming on next week.
Yes, it's Chris Cutler from Archie UK. Yes,
and Mark and Carolyn, I highly advise you to go to his website. Not that you're in the UK, but Archie UK. He's spent his life almost researching the UK, and the history and the maps he's got on there on his website is unbelievable. He's got so much information and details that he actually does a subscription thing now where you pay an annual subscription and you can pinpoint the location you want to detect on back hundreds of years, and it shows you finds that were found in that area. Really, really interesting. But he's on next week.
He certainly is. The following week we have Julian Evan Hart and somebody else from the up and coming new YouTube series, The Underground History Show. Following that, big guest that we announced last week, Laura Makelum from Mudlarking Lost and Found the River Thames. She's the author and Mudlarker. The following week, the 4th of February, Barry John Bauer, who thinks he's discovered the Holy Grail in the UK. The 11th of February, we have all the way from Holland, YouTube's History with Kaylee. And then on the 18th, we have Daniel Spencer from Search Magazine. So we've got a big few weeks coming up, Adrian. It's a good start to the year.
Oh, thank God. We can't get out to detecting, but we can sit with a drink and watch the show. So
well, you can't because you're on it. You can sit with a drink on it.
Oh, yeah.
Have I mentioned we've got an app? Oh, yeah.
Oh, cheers. It's
standing-
5 o'clock in the afternoon in America.
It's 4:38. And you know what I was going to say? If you guys are stuck there and you can't get out detecting, you could come over here and we can go detecting. So this may be a good time, but you might not be able to get back. That's the only.
Won't be allowed to fly either.
That wouldn't be a problem. I wouldn't worry about getting back. But no, I'd love to come over though. Seriously, Mark and
Yes.
Colin.
Adrian, road trip.
I can see it now, Dave. A Nissan Micra going down Route 66. I can see it now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got to do it.
Luke will come too. He can get in the back of the Micra.
Yeah.
You only live once.
What we need is some of the retail or distributors in the UK to sponsor me and Dave to do a detecting trip in America.
Much like that new one with
Thelma and Louise. Oh,
Brian Thingy and his son off the chase.
Yes. We get a great big Winnebago full of detectors.
Yeah.
I'm sure Treasure Hunting magazine would help us out.
Absolutely.
We need to fund us being able to go around the States and Canada and visit different companies, YouTubers. That'd be a really interesting show, and we can stream it live through our phone.
Road trip.
Coast to coast, so you can hit the Civil War, go through and do meteorite hunting and whatnot in Arizona and New Mexico, and then hit the gold in California, and then go up to Alaska.
He's got it all planned already for us, Adrian.
You have to be in Florida too for the 1715 treasure fleet too.
Undoubtedly.
Well,
and to go back to Kissimmee and sing.
Yes.
The meteorites is interesting though.
We actually spoke about that a few weeks ago, didn't we?
We did. And I've joined a Facebook group on identifying meteorites. Is that a common thing in the States, people looking for meteorites?
Yeah. So there was a show, you may have heard of it, Meteorite Men. And that was an older show that's since not aired anymore. But people still go out all the time because if you find a meteorite in the same size and dimensions of a piece of gold, sometimes a meteorite can be more expensive. So, and the value is just one thing. If you're into space rocks and science fiction and all that, it just has even more of a value to it. But yeah, that's a huge thing, specifically in the arid desert regions. Meteorites fall all over the place, but you can find them easier there.
Wow. Oh, I'm excited now.
Road trip.
Yeah, I think we do. Yeah. Come on.
Well,
everyone sponsor us. That'd be fun.
I think it's about time we let that nice Mr. Higgins go to bed anyway, because he's undoubtedly up at 2 a.m. So, Mark, Carolyn, it's been an absolute pleasure. You're welcome back to join us anytime. Just give me a shout, and obviously anything else we can do for you, again, give us a shout. And if there's any articles that you have or any of your other fellows at Calico, send them on over and we'll publish them via the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine as well. And if anybody else wants to send any finds in to the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine of any variety, we've increased the database of things that we're covering. So have a look, and I'm sure you'll find something that you'll be able to send us, I'm hoping. So I don't have to write anymore because my eyes are square.
I'm looking forward to following Coffee with Calico.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'll follow that now. So thank you very much, Carolyn.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you again to Calico's Mark Tominski and Carolyn, not Harwick. And the name's not on the screen, so I can't say it. Hold on.
Carolyn, help him.
Johannes, no.
Yeah.
Johannes.
Johannes.
That's because I got it written down right. So thank you again, both.
Thank you.
And thank you to Calico as well. And Adrian, thank you. Same time, same place next week with Chris from Archer UK. And Happy New Year again, everyone. Take care.
Happy
Good
New
night.
Year.
Happy New Year,
Cheers.
everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Many spend their days passively searching for something interesting to do. Others dig in and find it. While nothing is certain, anything is possible. And the anticipation leads you into action. Because it's here that adventures begin. Stories are unearthed. Secrets are revealed. Fortunes are found. Mysteries are solved. And the past is brought to life. Nothing valued is ever lost. It's simply waiting to be discovered. So here's the question. What are you looking for?